Part 9. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 81. 5 hours after the establishment of the National Special Dragon Group, all members had arrived in Luoyang City and were driving together towards Linjiang County in Luoyang City. In the military green special force vehicle, everyone was sitting upright. Hello everyone, I am Shi Haijun, the captain of the National Special Dragon Group this time, and also a former admiral of the Navy. I am honored to be the leader of the National Special Dragon Group this time. After a world-class disaster, we can all gather together. It is an honor. I am very happy to work with you again. The person who introduced himself was a middle-aged man in a black uniform. He looked ordinary, but sitting there, he could be seen as a soldier. He was filled with aura. He was a real leader of the Navy and the main person in charge of investigating and approaching the Dragon God this time. Hello, Captain. I am Pan Dayu, the director of the National Science and Technology Research Department, and also an observer in this action team. I am extremely grateful for the appearance of the dragon. I hope that our work can proceed smoothly this time. Pan Dayu is from the National Science and Technology Research Department. He has always believed that science can change destiny, but now he has truly witnessed the limit of science through science, that is, the so-called aliens. Just like the jokes of netizens, the end of science is theology. The appearance of the dragon broke Pan Dayu's fixed ideas. However, facing the life and death of the earth, he chose to kneel down when he saw the dragon god, because the dragon god saved them. Hello everyone, I am Tang Hung, the king of soldiers from the Snow Leopard Special Forces base. I am responsible for the comprehensive protection of everyone in this mission. I am very happy to work with you. Hello everyone, I am Tang Tian, a scholar who studies Chinese historical legends. This mission is to record the situation of the dragon. I am very happy to work with you. Both of them have the surname Tang, but in fact they have no relationship. Tang Hung not only represents himself, but also brings the entire Snow Leopard Special Forces base, which has more than 1,000 people. Any of these Snow Leopard Special Forces can be a hero who can fight against the enemy alone on the battlefield. Tang Tian is a 60-year-old man who specializes in the study of ancient Chinese history. Tang Tian has always had his own research on the existence of dragons, and this time he also came here for a special purpose. Hello everyone, I am Jiao Tians, the person in charge of network security. I am very happy to work with you. This young man in his early 30s is Jiao Tians. He is sitting alone in this car now, but in fact all the national networks and satellites are serving Jiao Tians at this time. On his knees is a notebook, which is recording the appearance of Xie Tingzhou when he landed. Even if Xie Tingzhou has erased the memory of the people in the Champs-Élysées community, it can still be detected from the artificial satellite that Xie Tingzhou landed in the Champs-Élysées community, but for some reason Xie Tingzhou's appearance is not in the picture. After everyone introduced themselves one by one, in fact, there are the strongest support from all parties behind them to support them to do this. Since the appearance of the dragon to save the world, many foreign countries have contacted China, and diplomats have been busy all night. After all, the dragon spoke Chinese after it appeared, and it seemed that people all over the world could understand Chinese all of a sudden. This proves that the dragon god belongs to China, so which country is not bowing down at this time? Everyone asked carefully, and then wanted to know the situation after the dragon god landed in Luoyang, and what the so-called cultivation was like. No one moved, but after the spiritual rain, everyone was healthy and full of strength, and the whole world was changing. At this moment, after everyone in the car introduced themselves, Pan Dayu couldn't help but sigh. A few hours ago, I really thought our world would be destroyed, and I thought of countless possibilities of being saved, but I didn't expect that the dragon would come to the world in the end. Now I really believe in the wisdom of the ancients. Maybe in the long life process of our human beings, dragons really existed? As a scientist, Pandayu knows more about what kind of disaster humans have experienced. If there is no dragon, everyone is dead now, right? Whether it is bowing your head to become a slave of aliens, or finally choosing to die with aliens, it is a very painful thing. It's not like now. Those aliens were beaten to a pulp and exploded in the universe. Who wouldn't be happy? Real dragons have always existed. Tang Tian spoke directly and added. In history, the emperor has always been called the son of heaven, in order to absorb the fortune of the real dragon. For example, the saying that there are dragon veins in the mountains is also the same. It is said that the mountains with dragon veins are the bones of the dragon after death. Through historical analysis, dragons will only appear to save the world when humans are destroyed, just like the gods recorded by people for thousands of years. Maybe there are fabricated elements, but now the appearance of dragons just proves that the historical records are correct. The birth of dragons is to save the world. Others listened carefully. Everyone was unfamiliar and curious about the dragon, and worshipped it. They were sent here to investigate the dragon, but each of them maintained true respect and admiration for the dragon in their hearts, because this is a dragon. They are recorded in legends by the Chinese, the omnipotent dragon. Now I have confirmed that Master Shenlong has arrived at Xiangzili community in Linjiang County. It will be dawn when we rush there. The satellite signal did not capture the appearance of Master Shenlong. I can only confirm that Master Shenlong came to the world in the form of an adult, so you can't act rashly, you just need to slowly approach Master Shenlong and see what happens in the Champs-Élysées community. Qiao Tian's also spoke. Everyone was afraid of Shenlong and also admired it, so they couldn't wait to see Shenlong at this time. The above meaning is that if you really see Shenlong, you should treat Master Shenlong the same way you treat gods. After all, everyone can see the dragon as big as the sky. The golden dragon can wrap the entire earth. You playing tricks with such a powerful dragon? Are you planning to kill yourself? And most importantly, this is the Eastern Dragon. Golden Five-Clawed Golden Dragon. It is the top legendary dragon that only exists in Chinese history. In other words, Lord Shenlong was born to protect the Chinese people. Just to protect them, the descendants of the dragon. So Master Shenlong will never harm us. We must sincerely kneel down to worship the dragon and offer our faith. Just 5 hours ago, China had announced that Shenlong had become China's new national treasure. And the appearance of Xie Ting's dragon has been made into videos and various pictures and posted online for everyone to download and worship. For the first time, China did not talk about feudal superstition, but really encouraged everyone to download photos or videos of the dragon and then worship the dragon. And within these 5 hours, the Chinese people have already started doing flower work. Someone used golden paper to cut out the appearance of Xie Ting's dragon. Someone spent 5 hours carving a golden dragon. The painter even painted the appearance of the golden dragon in their hearts. Everyone in the human race is worshipping the dragon in their own way, even if it is to quickly print a photo and put it at home for worship, or just use a mobile phone to put it on the table and kneel down to worship it. After experiencing the salvation of the dragon, people sincerely believed in this golden dragon. The car slowly arrived at the Champs-Élysées community. This community felt very peaceful. Every household was using various methods to worship the dragon. The next morning, everyone still had to go shopping as usual. Cooking, even if the world was about to be destroyed yesterday, you still have to eat when you wake up today, otherwise you might starve to death if you don't eat. Pan Dayu and Tang Tian quickly struck up a conversation with the elderly people in the Champs-Élysées community, wanting to ask about yesterday's situation. It turned out that except for Shenlong, they had completely forgotten about Shenlong's arrival in this community. Now everyone knows that they are afraid that Shenlong will erase their memories, so how can they find traces of Lord Shenlong? But at this time, a young man wearing a police uniform happily walked into the Champs-Élysées community. Before he entered, he was directly stopped by Tang Hung. Tang Hung directly took out his military officer ID card. Bai Xinyu immediately became serious when he saw it. He was so excited when he received the call in the morning, so he came over in police uniform. He was a little surprised to be stopped at this time. Bai Xinyu, the current captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade of the Linjiang County Police Force, has met the chief. Bai Xinyu also took out his ID. After all, his ID was much better than his. Bai Xinyu was also guarding his family last night. Now he received the news that his child had returned, so he came over in a hurry. He was Xie Tingzhu's child. He applied for the military academy before, and later returned after serving in the army for several years. He said that Xie Tingzhu was missing and helped to find him for a long time. Now that he heard that his friend was back, he came over in a hurry. Why did you come to this community? Did you know that Shen Long landed in Linjiang County, Luoyang City yesterday? Tang Hung asked, while Bai Xinyu shook his head. Sir, I really don't know about this. There were so many things happened last night, and I just knelt down to thank Master Shen Long. I saw a golden light coming down, but I didn't know it was from our county. Their memories have been affected to some extent, so they have no idea that Xie Tingzhu landed here last night. Then why did you come to Champs-Élysées community so early in the morning? Tang Hung continued to ask, because if the dragon really descended on this community, there would definitely be a problem. My childhood friend who has been missing for many years suddenly came back. I got a call from his mother and came over to take a look. After what happened yesterday, it's not easy for everyone to be reunited. Things in the world are unpredictable. Bai Xinyu sighed. Tang Hung stopped asking questions, and then let Bai Xinyu leave. Bai Xinyu naturally knew what secret mission Tang Hung might be performing, so he didn't ask any questions and hurried upstairs to find Xie Tingzhu. He had the Xie family's fingerprint lock, so he went straight in after going upstairs. As a result, the next moment he saw Xie Tingzhu in the living room. Xie Tingzhu, who was dressed in a golden brocade robe, could brighten the eyes of a blind person. Especially those golden pupils and the red mole between his eyebrows made Bai Xinyu instantly think of the following. Sir, and the saying about the coming of the dragon, something suddenly came to mind. Bai Xinyu felt that his heart was about to beat violently, but he couldn't help but look into Xie Tingzhu's golden pupils. Tingzhu, you are the dragon who saved the world? You are coming out? The Dragon King is back. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 82. It's not that Bai Xinyu reacted quickly, the main reason is that a normal person cannot have golden pupils, and this is not the so-called cosmetic contact lens that can make you feel like gold, but a real radiant eye. The golden color makes you feel the mystery of these eyes when you see them, making you want to kneel down and surrender involuntarily. Not kneeling down to kowtow to the brother in front of him now is Bai Xinyu's greatest respect for his brother. And as a policeman, Bai Xinyu admitted that in general, if it is a missing person case, if the case is not found within 3 months, women and children, not counting, may have been abducted, but if it is a missing man case, it is even more serious. The horror is that either he was murdered to death and the body was not found, or he was kidnapped by some special group. For example, he was poisoned and sent to a certain place to dig coal mines, or he was sent abroad. After working as a police officer for several years, Bai Xinyu came into contact with a lot of these strange population cases. What you fear most every time is meeting your brother inside. You think you can't find him, but you still have one thought, but if you find him in some cases, you will really go crazy. So in fact, from the moment the Xie family found a new boyfriend for Zhu Ying, Bai Xinyu knew that the Xie family vaguely felt that their son had passed away, so Bai Xinyu could only accept it. After all, he couldn't seeing that the Xie family was old and helpless. When they brought Fang Wenhuo and Zhu Ying together, it was Bai Xinyu who found out about Fang Wenhuo's background. Otherwise, What would the Xie family and Zhu Ying, an orphan and a widowed mother, do if they met a bad person? Now that he saw again the person he grew up with who was almost wearing a pair of underpants, Bai Xinyu quickly reacted and joked like this, which brought the two of them closer. When Xie Tingzhou heard such a joke, he recalled the time when he and Bai Xinyu were reading certain novels together. At that time, Bai Xinyu always felt that he was the center of the world and the protagonist of the world. However, Xie Tingzhou did not feel that way. Now that time has changed, his mood has changed. Slightly different. Are you still reading those weird novels? Xie Tingzhou asked, and Bai Xinyu had already walked directly into the door, and then closed the door habitually. He had already looked outside the door, but no one was following him. Of course I do. I still feel that I am the center of the world and the master of the world, so now I am the captain of the criminal police brigade of our city. I have a lot of people in my hands. Isn't that awesome? Bai Xinyu came over, but he didn't put his arm around Xie Tingzhou's shoulders as before. He was in the mood to joke, thinking that he was a leader. At Bai Xinyu's age, it is already very powerful to be the captain of the criminal police brigade. After all, he is only in his early 30s. Ox. Xie Tingzhou nodded and admitted that his family had worked hard over the years, but Bai Xinyu was actually a little confused. Where are the others? Not seeing anyone else, Bai Xinyu was actually a little worried, and Xie Tingzhou replied. You were so happy to see me back last night. I just fell asleep now and I called you over. Xie Tingzhou is a dragon. Dragons either don't rest or sleep for 100 years. If he sleeps here, it is estimated that when he wakes up, the people on the earth will have changed several generations. Oh, that's fine. I managed to comfort my parents and my wife last night before I went to bed. But I'm different from you. I just got married and I don't have a son yet. He was so old last night. I thought the whole world was going to end, and I had nothing to lose, but I didn't expect that the son of destiny was right next to me, and you showed up and beat the shit out of the aliens in a matter of minutes. Awesome. Bai Xinyu raised his thumb and praised Xie Tingzhou without hesitation, and the distance between the two seemed to become closer. Xie Tingzhou waved his hand and summoned spiritual wine from the mustard space. The spiritual wine contained in a white jade bottle appeared on the table, making Bai Xinyu's eyes brighten. What good thing is this? He would not be polite to his brother. Buying you a drink. Xie Tingzhou spoke, and then they both opened the white jade bottle. The aroma of the spirit wine came to their nostrils, making Bai Xinyu's eyes cold, and then he asked quickly. Is there any food at home? How strange it is to drink alcohol but not eat vegetables. After Xie Tingzhou nodded, Bai Xinyu went to the kitchen and soon brought out the food, which was left over from yesterday. This is yesterday's leftovers, right? It's all made by my aunt, and it's all what you like to eat, but now it's all an advantage for me, hee hee. Bai Xinyu was cheerful, as if the person in front of him was just the kid he once was, drinking wine, eating side dishes, and then started chatting. Brother, now that you have become such a big dragon, your previous case should be closed. My uncle and aunt have been looking for you for a long time, but they found nothing. As he said this, Xie Tingzhou said straightforwardly. My body should have been eaten by the fish in the river. Don't worry about it. It's already a thing of the past for me. When I come back this time, I also want to put an end to this relationship. Xie Tingzhou did not regard himself as a human being, but he did not think of himself as superior in front of his friends. On the contrary, he was very equal. Bai Xinyu's eyes turned red when he heard this. He thought about how uncomfortable it would be if his friend died in the river and his body was eaten by fish. But now that my friend is fine in front of me, I can't say these words anymore. No matter what, just come back and tell me whatever you want to do, brother. Others regard you as a superior Shenlong. I am different. I am your dead brother. When I went to the police academy, during the physical examination, you were always with me. My parents didn't support me. At that time, in my heart, you were my only brother. Tingzhou, as long as you recognize me as your brother for one day, I will treat you as your brother for one day. His cheeks were slightly red from drinking, but his hands were writing silently on the table, telling Xie Tingzhou in front of him about the people downstairs. He is still not sure what the people above him mean by coming to Tingzhou, but for Tingzhou's safety, he can only pass the news to him as soon as possible. At this moment, Brother Bai Xinyu couldn't say that he had chosen to stand by his brother at all times. However, the earth was about to be destroyed once. Brother saved the world, which was a life-saving grace for all mankind. For Bai Xinyu's family is also a life-saving benefactor, and he absolutely doesn't want anything to happen to his brothers. Xie Tingzhou naturally felt Bai Xinyu's concern and smiled. I know what you said. You are the best brother in my heart and the only brother I have as a human being. Xie Tingzhou acknowledged Bai Xinyu's identity, then looked out the window, then snapped his fingers, and saw a bright golden butterfly immediately appeared in front of him. The butterfly passed directly through the window and flew out. Bai Xinyu's eyes and face were red, and he felt a little drunk. Although his mind was clear, he had been drunk by the spiritual wine. After all, this was spiritual wine full of spiritual power, and ordinary people could not drink it. How much? That's true. Your status is different now. It's useless for me to worry about this for you. As he spoke, he lay down on the table in a daze, and fell asleep soon after. Seeing Bai Xinyu like this, Xie Tingzhou laughed. He liked this feeling. Some people could regard him as the dragon god, and others could regard him as a human being before, and they were full of care. The so-called family and friends mean that when you are extremely powerful and fully capable of subverting the entire world, they will still feel that you need their protection and their hug. This is the meaning of the existence of feelings. The golden butterfly flew down from the 10th floor and flew directly towards the car of the National Special Dragon Team. The team was conducting full control near the Champs-Élysées community, and planned to search for traces of the dragon god one by one. As a result, a golden butterfly flew in directly through the car window, shocking everyone. Because this butterfly with golden light can tell at a glance that it is not a mortal thing. It is definitely an existence that cannot be achieved by human power. I'm on the 10th floor of Champs-Élysées community. Come over here. A very simple sentence, but it is the voice of a dragon. Everyone has heard the voice of a dragon before. Now through this golden butterfly, the entire team heard the address of Shenlong without investigating, and then saw this golden butterfly. The butterflies turn into light and dissipate in the air. The people in the car were silent, and then Tang Tianke said excitedly. Is that a spell just now? Will we all be able to do it in the future? Master Shenlong said before that we can all practice it, so it must be the kind that can be practiced. Tang Tian was so excited. The changes that have taken place in the world are very drastic. How many people have experienced huge changes in their bodies after giving birth to Lingyu? Just for the special forces who came this time, the changes in their bodies are endless. It is not nice to say it. Yes, in the past, I could break more than 20 bricks with one fist, but now I can punch through the wall with one punch. This situation has also been clearly recorded above, and it is believed that this is the evolution of human beings. It should be possible, but, Lord Shenlong seems to want us to go up and find him. Pan Diyu was a little unsure, but Jiao Tian said directly. Since we all know that the other party is Shenlong, he must be omniscient, omnipotent, omniscient and omnipotent. We people came over and used special forces to surround the entire Champs-Élysées community and control it. How could Shenlong not know? This is simply not possible. This is not an ordinary person, this is a god. What we should do is not to investigate and approach slowly, but to kneel down directly. Xiao Tian's is young, so his thinking is relatively out of the box. Shi Haijun was confused. Go over and kneel. What is the logic of this? Xiao Tian's was serious. Just like last night when the dragon saved the world, we knelt on the ground to pray for the protection and blessing of the dragon god. In the eyes of the dragon god, we humans are as insignificant as a speck of dust, so why not just kneel down and beg him? We can go directly to the door and kneel down to ask for the blessing of the dragon. It is a god. If we are believers, the god will bless its most loyal believers. These words actually left everyone speechless. Tang Tian, the historian, immediately nodded and then clapped in agreement. Yes. Go over and kneel. Even Pan Diyu, who once only believed in science, nodded seriously. I think Tian's is right. If we go over and kneel, Lord Shenlong might grant our wishes. Hearing that the country's most elite and high-end talents finally came to such a conclusion, Captain Shi Haijun was helpless. But what you are facing is not the enemy, but the god you really want to see, so the captain issued the order. Everyone go to the 10th floor, and we will kneel there. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 83. Probably all Chinese people have a bit of backbone in their bones. Of course, kneeling to the sky and kneeling to the ground is what their parents say is this kind of spirit. And Master Shenlong perfectly fits the saying of the gods of heaven and earth, so what's the big deal about kneeling down? The earth was about to be destroyed before, and aliens were knocking on our doorsteps. When the black space battleships were trying to kill you, people didn't kneel down. They just stood there, maybe cursing the aliens, or maybe talking. Waiting for the passing of life, but the moment they saw the dragon god, people knelt down in tacit understanding. This is the highest respect for the gods. Naturally, the National Special Dragon Group Department is also someone who has knelt in the spiritual reign, so there is no psychological pressure at all if they go and kneel at this time. After going all the way to the 10th floor, everyone stood at the door. You looked at me and I looked at you, gesturing with your eyes to ring the doorbell. Tang Tian, go and ring the doorbell. Pan Diyu, I don't dare. Tang Hung stopped looking at everyone and moved his gaze. Xiao Tian's looked at Captain Shi Haijun with burning eyes. Captain. No one spoke, but expressed what they wanted to say with their eyes. Shi Haijun sighed inwardly, helpless, nodded resignedly, then took a step forward and rang the doorbell. Xieting Zhou was inside the door. He had actually sensed the arrival of these people for a long time. He just thought these people were very fun, so he did not take the initiative to come over. Now that he heard the doorbell, Xieting Zhou did not use any magic, but left. Go over and open the door. The door opened to the inside. When Xieting Zhou opened the door, he saw several grown men kneeling on the ground in a small space such as the stairs and the shoe cabinet. The moment they saw the door open, they immediately kowtowed 3 times. Greetings to Lord Shenlong. Greetings to Lord Shenlong. Greetings to Lord Shenlong. People in the country kowtow deeply 3 times. People all know that generally speaking, as long as there are 3 people kowtowing and offering incense, they are either gods or ghosts. So if an ordinary person kneels down and kowtows 3 times to a human being, then it really may mean that he wants to send the other party away. Xieting Zhou looked at these people on the ground and was not surprised by their behavior. Get up. As he spoke, the hands in his sleeves moved. The people on the ground had been helped up by a kind of void air. Then after standing up, they saw the back of Lord Shenlong, who was wearing a golden robe and a black, the long hair and the sparkling crown on top of her head satisfy everyone's imagination. Tang Hung walked into the room uneasily, and then everyone saw Bai Xinyu lying on the table in the hall. Tang Heng was stunned. This man, I just saw him down there. Tang Heng didn't even care about Master Shenlong and immediately gave a result. Xie Zhou had turned around, and then everyone saw his jade-like face and his eyes that belonged exclusively to dragons. The gleaming golden color made people dare not look directly at it. It was the color of the gods, and the little red mole between the eyebrows is even more full of divinity. When everyone saw Xie Zhou, they knelt down neatly and worshipped again. After they knelt down and worshipped, Xie Zhou said, Bai Xinyu is an old friend of mine when I was a human being. As he said this, everyone who had just woken up was extremely surprised when they heard this. Their minds quickly started to work, and they thought that being a human being would prove that Lord Shenlong was also a human before he became a Shenlong. Or, Lord Shenlong was reincarnated as an adult and survived the tribulation like in the novel? Did you go back after you succeeded? Everyone was speculating, but they didn't dare to say anything, so Shi Haijun introduced himself. Lord Shenlong, we are the National Special Dragon Department that was just established yesterday. We are specially established to serve you. Now I only express my most sincere gratitude to you on behalf of mankind all over the world. Thank you for saving the earth. We have no intention of offended, I just hope that if the Lord Dragon God has any arrangements on earth, he can tell us to do it. This is a real dragon, a god, and a legendary existence. No one wants to provoke each other. What's more, everyone was sent here to better serve this giant dragon. They still don't know what the situation is about the cultivation and training that Lord Shenlong said. If Lord Shenlong is willing to help, that would be great. Although everyone was standing there at this time, no one dared to put their eyes on Xie Zhou. They all lowered their eyes slightly, and then cast their eyes on the corner of the god's clothes, very pious, if possible. They even wanted to kneel on the ground and talk. I summon you here for the sake of the future evolution of mankind and the earth. Xie Zhou spoke, and then directly summoned the secrets of cultivation from the mustard space. These secrets were given to Xie Zhou by his friends when he was wandering around for thousands of years. He likes to make friends, and naturally he has met many cultivation people. In the world of cultivation, geniuses, many of these geniuses who were saved by Xie Zhou would give Xie Zhou their cultivation intensives created later in order to thank this giant dragon for its help. The jade slips were instantly covered in front of Shi Haijun, making everyone excited. Thinking this is the legendary one? Immortal jade slips? Generally speaking, there are records in novels about cultivating immortals, saying that the skills of cultivating immortals will be recorded in jade slips, and then wait for the destined person to get them. As long as a drop of blood or the infusion of spiritual energy can obtain the skills of cultivating immortals. This is the technique of cultivating immortals that I have collected over the past 10,000 years. Today I give it to the descendants of the dragon. With a drop of blood as a guide, you can get a glimpse of the method of cultivating immortals. I order you to establish a sect, cultivate immortality, and protect yourself. These cultivation intensives are just the simplest part, suitable for people who are just beginning to cultivate immortality. The fonts on them are also small seal scripts. You can't just pick up a random person and learn it if you want. You must have a culture, a foundation, and a strong brain. Talent can be the first to eat crabs. Thank you, Lord Shenlong, for your gift. We promise. All descendants of the dragon will be able to learn the method of cultivation. Everyone knelt down again, this time with real willingness. Seeing that aliens are knocking on the door, if you don't strengthen yourself, can you still expect Lord Shenlong to protect you in this life, the next life, and the next life? What if Lord Shenlong leaves one day? What humans like them have to do is to strengthen themselves so that they can fight back when facing the enemy's high-tech invasion. Lord Shenlong has already given out a path, they just need to follow it. So who here is not grateful? And that is the path to immortality. Xiu Xian asked, since ancient times, the emperor has been dreaming of something like a real dragon emperor. Now Master Shenlong gives it to you every minute and asks you to learn it. Will you say you don't want to learn it? You know, if you don't learn, you may get sick and die within 100 years old. But if you practice cultivation, you may live for hundreds of years, or even thousands of years. This can be achieved from another situation. Eternal life. Today I will lower the spiritual pillar at the place where the descendants of the dragon are descended. From now on, humans can identify spiritual roots by touching the spiritual pillar. The spiritual energy in the world is the same, but the human body is divided into 5 elements, which are the 5 spiritual roots of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The purer you are, the further you will go on the road to immortality. The secret book of immortality needs to be based on the appropriate spiritual roots. Xieting Zhou didn't mind being a teacher. Every word he said at this time was carefully remembered by several people, for fear of forgetting a little bit. Xiao Tian's, who was relatively young and out of the box, couldn't help but lowered his head and asked Lord Shenlong. Lord Shenlong, if a person has no spiritual roots, how can he practice? Yes, now the world finally has new opportunities, but it still needs to be tested for spiritual roots. In various fairy tales, why are mortals screened out? It is because some mortals are born without spiritual roots, and no one is sure whether they are the ones without spiritual roots. If everyone can practice cultivation by then, but you can't, you will let yourself become weak and eventually die early. Is it difficult? Xieting Zhou was not surprised when he heard this and even gave an answer. Everyone is responsible for the disaster that destroys the world. This catastrophe of heaven and earth is a catastrophe for the human world. Everyone in the descendants of the dragon has spiritual roots. This is destiny, which means that when a world encounters unsolvable difficulties, there will usually be new opportunities to change everything. The recovery of the earth's spiritual energy is the earth's best protection for itself. If the earth does not have spiritual energy to revive, humans will not be able to protect the earth. When people from the mechanical star enter the earth, the final result of the earth will be to be mined by the mechanical star and destroyed. This is not so much the self-rescue of all humans on earth, but rather the self-rescue of the earth itself. Everyone was very excited when they heard this, but people couldn't help but think about this descendant of the dragon. Everyone knows that Chinese people are called the descendants of the dragon. Then it's time to test the spiritual roots. The descendants of the dragon, yes, what about others? Can anyone else have it? Who is this other person? Naturally, everyone has guesses in their minds, but now that they are like this, if they can't take care of themselves, how can they have time to worry about others? No one asked any more questions, but Xieting Zhou said in a meaningful way. The road to cultivating immortality is full of thorns, all caused by cause and effect. Good people sow good causes, and evil people get bad results. There is no way to avoid it because of the checks and balances of heaven. This sentence was a bit incomprehensible, but everyone remembered it, and after the Lord Dragon God said no more, everyone quickly and carefully moved all these cultivation intensives downstairs, ran for many times, and finally looked at a truck full of intensive cultivation is too exciting to handle. At this moment, there was something strange in the sky. I saw white clouds billowing in the sky, as if something was rolling. People from the National Special Team got out of the car and raised their heads to look at the sky. People all over the world were now sober and felt something was wrong in the sky. After the white clouds rolled, I saw that the sky actually dropped rays of golden light in each city. This golden light was in the widest place of each city. When the golden light fell, it formed a giant golden pillar connecting the sky. It's the flowing fonts of golden light floating on it. Some well-educated people can see that the golden pillar trailing upstream is actually 3 characters, which are the small seal script of the Chinese country. Read it again: spiritual measuring pillar. When these 3 words were read out, everyone was stunned. Is this spirit detecting pillar what they imagined? Is it the kind of existence that can test people's spiritual roots? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 84. On August 10, 2030 in the new calendar, which was also the time in the old calendar later, on this day the dragon lowered the spirit testing pillar, opening up the opportunity for ordinary people to test their spiritual roots. It was also the 10th day of August in the first year of the dragon calendar, when people knew their spiritual roots for the first time and officially started the path to immortality. At this moment, the soul measuring pillar has just been lowered. Even if everyone sees it, they don't dare to act rashly. The National Special Dragon Group Department has quickly reported the news to the superiors. This not only shows that Master Shenlong has given many immortal cultivation techniques, but also the spiritual measuring pillar was lowered to test the spiritual roots in each person's body. And those cultivation techniques that they carefully transported out were getting on a plane and flying towards the largest historical research institute in the country under the protection of thousands of special forces. Because these cultivation techniques were all in small seal script, it is necessary for professional philologists to decipher these exercises and then see how to turn them into exercises that people can adapt to. Just like a long time ago, domestic scientific researchers learned knowledge from outside, simplified it and made it into textbooks for people across the country. People learn the same. Now everyone is taking this path again, and the state machinery is also running rapidly. Soon, all major video platforms and TV stations have carried out live broadcasts of national leaders. It is a very direct notification, but all citizens in China have received this live broadcast notification. This is the first nationwide all-round live broadcast. In this live broadcast, the national leader officially announced that the divine dragon will descend the spiritual pillar. The purpose is to put your hand on the spiritual pillar to test the person's spiritual root. The country will promulgate the law of cultivating immortals in a week. Each citizen can receive cultivation according to his own spiritual roots. It seems that I have suddenly progressed from the world of science to the world of cultivation. The young people who saw the news were shocked, and then cheered. Although the old people did not understand what cultivation was, they also understood that as long as they learned the things of the immortals, they could prolong their lives and even regain their youth. Before, everyone was shocked by the arrival of Lord Shenlong, and could not even think of causing trouble. Now the country has even entered into a friendly cooperation with Lord Shenlong, and everyone can go to test spiritual roots and cultivate. Is it simply the happiest thing in the world? What young man has not dreamed of flying with a sword? Many foreigners still have the idea that they have mysterious Chinese kung fu. But now, the emergence of Shenlong has directly made cultivation a reality. By then, flying with a sword will not be a problem, and then freedom of magic will not be a problem. Oh my God! Just thinking about it makes you excited. Nowadays, the entire society is actually in the process of temporary shutdown. The country must give everyone a certain degree of confidence so that everyone can regain the idea of survival. The entire world's economic system has no problems for the time being, but I believe that in the near future, it will become a new economic system due to the emergence of cultivation. The police from all over the country were also notified. Everyone quickly came to the soul detecting pillar, opened the line, and then surrounded it. When the soul detecting pillar was lowered from the sky, it looked very small, but in fact after it was lowered, but it is very big, just like Sun Wukong's golden cudgel. It stands there like a needle that fixes the sea. Each of these soul detecting pillars has a radius of more than 10 meters. After the police surrounded the soul detecting pillars, they began to conduct a test. The first person who was arranged to measure the spirit root was a young policeman. He was not afraid of danger. After all, this was the spirit measuring pillar lowered by Master Shenlong. It was definitely harmless to the human body. However, everyone thought that young people were more likely to detect it. Spiritual roots, it is even more difficult when one is older. So this anxious 24-year-old policeman stood in front of the huge soul-detecting pillar, and then pressed his hand on it. For a moment, he felt a cold touch, and then he saw the fonts that were floating on the pillar. With the policeman's hand pressing up, the 3 golden characters turned into 3 small green characters. The ancient writing expert on the side instantly recognized that this was the word Mulingen. Mulingen. Good boy, you have spiritual roots. Following the expert's words, the policeman suddenly smiled. After all, they were about to start the era of cultivation. If they didn't have spiritual roots, wouldn't they be eliminated in minutes? After that, several police tests were arranged, and the 5 spiritual roots of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth were obtained. The font colors of these 5 spiritual roots are different. When you press it with your hand, the 3 closest characters will be displayed. It becomes the color and font of the test. Therefore, such a large spiritual detection pillar can quickly test people in a city. Then each city quickly started building positions around the spirit measuring pillar, all surrounding the spirit measuring pillar. Such a passage surrounds the spirit measuring pillar, revealing a circular armhole. Then you can put your hand in and you can see the above record and even arrange automatic photo taking function. You should never underestimate the power of a country. 3 hours after the spirit detection pillar descended, all the city's spirit detection pillars built a surrounding corridor, and then there were entrances and exits on each floor. After the arrangements were made, entry is subject to military security and identity verification. 5 hours after the spirit measuring pillar came, every Chinese received the latest news on their mobile phones, informing everyone to test their spiritual roots. First, they must make an appointment on the spiritual root app, and then go to the queue to test. This thing, but it is completely open and transparent. If anyone wants to say that they can join the team based on connections and money, that is impossible. After all, people can ignore rules and systems, but it is absolutely impossible to disobey gods. It is said that there is a god 3 feet above the head. It didn't matter if everyone didn't know there was Lord Shen long before. Now that they know it, they naturally maintain awe in their hearts. After all, no one knows whether their every move is under the gaze of Lord Dragon God. Down. Under the arrangement of the state agency, the arrangements for the soul measuring route began to be in order. Everyone made a tacit agreement to make an appointment, then queued up tacitly. After swiping their ID cards, they entered the building surrounding the soul measuring pillar, and then stretched out their hands. In the cave, they pressed the cold soul measuring pillar, and when they saw the color of their own spiritual roots, everyone was ecstatic. Of course, it's not just these. The state machine will take a scan of everyone's face, and then the electronic computer will record their spiritual roots. In the future, the exercises will be learned according to the spiritual roots of these people. And in such spiritual root testing, shocking things also happened. A thin-looking man stood in front of the spirit measuring pillar. Then he stretched out his hand, his eyes shining with excitement. When his hand touched the cold spirit measuring pillar, the spirit root test that was supposed to appear did not appear. The soul detecting pillar suddenly sucked his hand, and then violent currents filled the body of this thin man. With a swish, the man was electrocuted into a ball of black coal in front of everyone, and even I can't even see clearly what it looked like before. Such things happen in various cities, but people are strangely not panicking because everyone knows that this thing is descended by a dragon. How can it hurt ordinary people? So these people were electrocuted into a ball of black coal, they must be bad guys. This is thunder disaster. Therefore, when the above people quickly sorted out all the information about the people who were electrocuted into coal, they found that these people had indeed committed more or less crimes. Most of them were guilty of murder. Of course, there were also some who were not investigated on the surface. What comes out, but people who actually did bad things. At this moment, the National Special Dragon Group Department finally understood the meaning of Master Shenlong's last words. Good people have good causes, and evil people have bad consequences. In addition to being able to test spiritual roots, this spiritual pillar is probably also related to heaven's punishment. It was said that evil people in the past would be struck by thunder from heaven for doing evil, but now it has come true. Pandayu sighed. Their group had already tested the spiritual roots. Pandayu had fire spiritual roots, Shi Haijun had water spiritual roots, Qiaotians had wood spiritual roots, and Tang Hung and Tang Tian had golden spiritual roots. These people deserve what they deserve. Now that Lord Shenlong has appeared, you should know that there are gods at the top of your head. If you do bad things, you will be punished. Don't worry, the public is not afraid of these black coals at all now. The country has disclosed the latest information, which shows that as long as those who are electrocuted into black charcoal by the test spiritual pillar are bad people, then everyone can't wait for the bad people to be electrocuted to death. Qiaotians is young and is still quite indignant, so now he feels that it is normal for evil to be punished. Master Shenlong's divine pillar can't stand it anymore. Ordinary people can only be happy when they see bad guys die. Doesn't it mean that there are many bad people who dare not test their spiritual roots? Pandayu didn't know whether to sympathize with those people or what to say. Let's bet. Bet on whether you are the bad guy recognized by the spirit testing pillar. Moreover, both Tang Hung and General Shi have killed people in their hands. Why won't the spirit testing pillar attack them? Some bad guys will still bet, otherwise they would all be cultivating immortality. The bad guys are watching eagerly. Qiaotians complained about this, and then Shi Haijun and Tang Hung looked at each other. This was correct. They had lives in their hands, but they were all killing invaders to protect China. If Shi Haijun could become a general, he would naturally have the enemy's life in his hands, but the spirit measuring pillar did not turn him into charcoal, which proved that the spirit measuring pillar had its own identification rules. Others present did not know, but Shi Haijun knew that some officials at the top had been electrocuted into black charcoal. These things had not been made public for the time being, so Shi Haijun knew that even in the face of such a possibility of turning into black charcoal, in the end, those greedy people still cannot give up the opportunity of cultivation. Because if you cultivate, you may still have hundreds of thousands of years to come, but if you don't choose to cultivate, you will die in a few decades, but you can live for a long time. At the same time, the state of China discovered that such spiritual pillars were only found in the state of China, and not in other parts of the world. Therefore, in terms of diplomacy, everyone begged China to open visas and wanted to fly here as soon as possible, but because this mysterious Oriental dragon was in China, they did not dare to act rashly. After all, you can cause harm to one country if you unite with several countries, but if you declare war on a giant dragon that saved the world, aren't you looking for death? However, China promised to open visas after everyone in the country had tested their spiritual roots. This appeased these foreigners. Of course, foreigners who originally had Chinese nationality had to use their own ID cards to go there. I tested my spiritual roots, but it's a pity that some people have spiritual roots and some don't. Just like the news given by the country's Special Dragon Group Department, the descendants of the dragon must have spiritual roots, but if you are not the descendant of the dragon, then our Eastern dragon is not responsible. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 85. While the public was busy testing their spiritual roots, in some remote places, experts in ancient Chinese characters had already quickly deciphered the cultivation techniques in the jade slips. These experts in ancient Chinese characters already had a lot of knowledge, and after being showered by the spiritual rain, they could almost remember everything they saw. So nearly 1,000 people quickly deciphered the cultivation secrets sent by Lord Shenlong, and many of the techniques required corresponding spiritual roots, such as the thunder art which must be used by golden spiritual roots. After everyone deciphered these cultivation techniques, the first to conduct experiments were of course the military. So in a very remote place, many experts and military personnel arrived and were watching the training of the first wave of soldiers. The most basic technique they translated, which everyone can learn and master, is a technique called rejuvenation technique. The main ability of this technique is to circulate spiritual power and absorb the spiritual power between heaven and earth into the body. Only when there is enough spiritual energy in the body can other more powerful techniques be learned. To put it bluntly, this thing is to lay the foundation after learning it. You must know this. If you don't know it, you can't move forward. The army quickly learned the rejuvenation technique. I don't know if it's because of the spiritual rain. These cultivation techniques look mysterious, but I understand them after seeing them for some reason, and I know how to do them. It's really amazing. At this moment, everyone is accepting the magic of these cultivation techniques. Wang Lai. Fire Spirit Root. Practice the technique Flame Gun. The soldiers who came out to sign up are definitely better than ordinary people. When he signed up, everyone nodded and looked at him. Then Wang Lai took the cold weapon he had prepared long ago, a long spear, in his hand, and then took action. This is something that ordinary people can't learn. With the spear in his hand, he is even more imposing. As he shoots out, a red flame spurts out directly from the spear, at least 10 meters away. Fortunately, everyone is far away, otherwise they will really get hurt. Wang Lai's movements were even more vigorous, and the flames burned around him. It was almost possible to tell how lethal this thing was. Finally, when Wang Lai stopped, everyone applauded immediately, and they understood what cultivation was. Do you dare to believe that fire can be ejected from this cold weapon? And this fire has been tested. It is a real red flame, at least 5,000 degrees. Do you believe that it can directly burn a person into coal? Wang Zi. Water Spirit Root. Practice the technique Water Control Technique. Wang Zi's water control does not require any weapons. He just stretched out his hand and hit it. A long water dragon rushed out directly from the palm of his hand, and then rushed towards the wall in front, and collapsed the entire wall with one hand. What an unscientific thing. But it really happened in front of everyone. Zhangyangji, Gold Spirit Root. Practice the technique Lightning Strike Technique. Hearing this spell, everyone couldn't help but look over, and then saw Zhangyangji standing in place, and then quickly made a spell in his hand, muttering something in his mouth, so that everyone could only hear the last sentence. 10 Direction Lightning, Break. At this moment, in the bright sky, blue lightning appeared for no reason and struck the ground, and then it was within a 10-meter range around Zhangyangji. If someone stood there, he would be electrocuted into a pancake. People's eyes were even more excited, because this kind of thing beyond science was even more fascinating and fascinating. You know, people like to explore the unknown, and such superpowers are what everyone dreams of. Then there are the techniques of wood spirit roots and earth spirit roots. The soldiers of wood spirit roots directly turned a seed into a vine that could kill people, which was extremely terrifying. The soldiers of earth spirit roots even controlled the land and could instantly build a completely sealed prison. If someone was inside, it would probably suffocate to death in minutes. What's more, they still have more space to discover, and they need to know how powerful these techniques will be in the end. After all the soldiers demonstrated, everyone understood how selfless Lord Shenlong was and handed over these precious cultivation secrets to them. How do you feel now? The expert recorded the data. After all, if you want to know how powerful these skills can be in the end, you must have data support. There is a feeling of being hollowed out, a feeling of lack of spiritual energy. Yes, it feels like the spiritual energy stored in the body has been drained, so you want to replenish it quickly. I think if I have a lot of spiritual energy in my body, then my lightning coverage range can probably cover the entire city. That's right, cultivation is like this. You can destroy the entire city with a wave of your hand. This is the power that transcends nature and technology. As long as you have enough spiritual energy in your body, you can destroy the entire world with a wave of your hand. Just like Xie Zhou now, it is a real 10,000-year-old dragon. The spiritual energy contained in its body is enough to easily destroy a planet. For him, all this is just a sprinkle of water. The expert hurriedly recorded everything. He understood that the skills are powerful, but cultivation depends on the individual. Everyone needs to have spiritual energy in their body, just like a vehicle must have oil to go on the road, so it seems that the most precious thing is rejuvenation technique. These things all need to be studied carefully, and after the study they must be fully disclosed to the entire society. Then the era of universal spiritual practice will truly arrive. Everyone is busy every minute. Of course, they also discovered that many animals and plants have evolved after the spiritual rain. It is further confirmed that animals and plants can also absorb spiritual energy, and even the food picked after the spiritual rain, it actually also contains spiritual energy, which is huge good news for all people on earth. In Linjiang County, Luoyang City, the National Special Dragon Group Department notified the government that a villa home was purchased with state funding, and they wanted to invite Master Shenlong to live in the villa. By then, the surrounding villas would be from their countries. Researchers live there and fully serve Master Shenlong. Xie Zhou, on the other hand, has not been out in the past few days. On the contrary, all the Xie family members have gone out to test their spiritual roots. The end result is great. Xie Jinsong has Turing root, Gu Venman has water spirit root, Fang Wenhuo has golden spirit root, and Zhu Ying has fire spirit root. The two children have also been tested. Both children have golden spirit root. It seems that they will be suitable for control in the future. Thunder. The whole family has spiritual roots, and Gu Venman is naturally happy. Even if his son is the dragon god, it is better to rely on the sky and the earth than to rely on yourself. In order not to cause trouble to his son, it would be extremely difficult if their family were more powerful. Okay. Son, I really didn't expect that your dad and I would be able to cultivate one day. I thought about those weird novels you and Xiao read every day when you were young. Xiao also said that he wanted to save the world. It's good now, and so does he. Golden spiritual root can really save the world in the future. Gu Venman happily talked to her son. The busiest thing for her recently was cooking for Xie Zhou. She knew clearly that her son was a god and might not need to eat, but as a mother, it seemed that this was the only thing she could do for her son. Zhu Ying also made a lot of Xie Zhou's favorite food. Although they can't be husband and wife now, at least they had friendship back then, so Zhu Ying was grateful to Xie Zhou from the bottom of her heart. Well, the country will release the cultivation techniques in the future. Parents, just follow them and practice them. Xie Zhou did not try to encourage others. Cultivation is just inevitable, but it also depends on the qualifications. He has a lot of elixirs in his hands, but if these elixirs are eaten by ordinary people, they will also die as a result of body explosion, so Xie Zhou did not give them to the Xie family in private. Turn on the stove. Yes, Xie Jinsong nodded. Now he is not so afraid of his son. Although his son is not a human being, his soul is still his own son, just more powerful. So Xie Jinsong wants to get close to Xie Zhou again, and he is very obedient. Human beings probably all admire strength. If the people around you are a little better than you, you will feel jealous. But if the other person is thousands of times stronger than you, then not only will you not be jealous, but you will also admire them. No matter what the relationship is, Mujiang seems to be human nature. Xie Zhou suddenly saw the gray hair of his parents, and then he remembered that although he couldn't give his parents the elixir, he could give other things. I saw Xie Zhou wave his hand, and a small white jade bottle appeared on the table in front of him, which made the Xie family a little confused. This is... Gu Venman was a little curious. She knew how powerful her son was. Although she didn't take the initiative to ask for anything, she was naturally willing to give it to her because it was her son's wish. For example, the entire Xie family is now wearing the spiritual jade gifted by Xie Tingzhou, which no one else has. Oh, I shouldn't say that. When I sent Bai Xinyu away, I also prepared some for Bai Xinyu's parents and wife. After all, this was a real childbirth. This is the elixir of youthfulness. Xie Tingzhou answered, then picked up the jade bottle and said, "There is a special elixir in the world of cultivation that can restore people to their youthful appearance. This bottle of medicine was given to me by a former friend of mine. I have many friends, so I can give it to anyone who wants to." Xie Tingzhou poured 4 elixirs of beauty from the bottle and handed them to the Xie family, Zhu Ying and Fang Wenhuo. The 4 people got the elixir. The Xie family and his wife ate it without hesitation, but Zhu Ying and Fang Wenhuo were a little flattered. They wanted to say something, but after meeting Xie Tingzhou's golden pupils, they finally said nothing and took the pill. The effect of the medicine was almost instantaneous. The Xie family's hair began to grow rapidly from white to black in an instant. Then the skin changed from the old wrinkles to white and smooth, and even the body began to gradually change. Although Zhu Ying and Fang Wenhuo on the side were both in their 30s, they could still feel the changes in their bodies at this time. In just a few dozen seconds, when the 2 couples looked at each other again, they saw their youthful appearance. The immortal beauty pill fixed their faces at the age of 20, so now the 4 of them all have young looks of 20 years old. Gu Venman was immediately pleasantly surprised. Xie Jinsong's young face was different from his previous old appearance. Completely different, even somewhat similar to Xie Tingzhou. Gu Venman immediately withdrew his son and said, "Tingzhou, look at your dad's face. Your dad deceived me with this face back then, but in my heart, your dad is now younger and not as handsome as you." Xie Tingzhou also laughed when he looked at his young father who looked similar to himself. "Mom is the prettiest." Such praise made Gu Venman smile immediately, and then he held a mirror to admire his youthful appearance. Who doesn't experience youth in his life, but being able to regain youth is such a happy thing for an old person. And all this was brought about by my son. Gu Venman was getting happier and happier as she thought about it. Although she wanted to show off her son's goodness to the whole world, she was still excited now. "I know you love your mother the most, Tingzhou. What do you want to eat for lunch? Mom will make a table for you. The love from your mother is probably your favorite meal, which will always be on a table." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 86. Shi Haijun finally visited Lord Dragon God on behalf of the country. Of course, he also met the Xie family, Fang Wenhuo and Zhu Ying, who suddenly became young again. However, no one was surprised by this. After all, Lord Shenlong had previously been a human being. He was the son of the Xie family when he was a child. Now, even if he has turned into a dragon again, he still has feelings for the human world. The more humane Xie Tingzhou is, the more everyone feels that this dragon is more trustworthy, because sometimes gods are destined to be cold and ruthless. Cold and ruthless gods will not pity all living beings, and Xie Tingzhou interferes with the earth. Things can be said to be about having feelings for people. Lord Shenlong, we have prepared a villa manor covering an area of 2,000 meters for you. If you like it, you can live in it directly with your family. Of course, we will serve you at all times. Who wouldn't want to be a servant to a real dragon? It can be said that the people above have been fighting over these names recently. Which one has the highest force value, which one has the best economic acumen, which one has the best service attitude and capability, and which one can I clean at Shenlong's house? Wait, these positions are all being snatched up. After all, in a villa manor covering an area of 2,000 square meters, there must be someone cooking inside, right? Someone has to take care of the house, right? Someone has to take care of the landscaping, right? Or does Master Shenlong need a driver? Anyway, no matter whether Master Shenlong needs it or not, everyone has made arrangements in advance, waiting for them to serve Master Shenlong immediately as long as Xieting Zhou is willing. Have you ever heard of the third-rank official in front of the Prime Minister? The closer you get to Master Shenlong, the more opportunities you have to practice well. Maybe you can extend your life and become a master of immortal cultivation in minutes, okay? Mom, do you want to live in a villa? Xieting Zhou doesn't care where he lives. After all, he is not in the form of a dragon. His true body is still surrounding the earth. He can live anywhere in this body. Live. Why don't you live there? In fact, your dad and I have been discussing whether to buy you a big house these days. We were originally looking at a villa, but it would be better to live in one of theirs, and Mr. Shi has such a high status, the house he prepared must be better than what we saw. Gu Venman nodded matter-of-factly. Although he felt like one person had achieved enlightenment, he would not feel any pressure to let his son live in a good house. Please, my son is a dragon. Not to mention living in a villa, who dares to say where he wants to live? Gu Venman was afraid that the space at home was small and his son would not be accustomed to living there, so he thought of discussing buying a villa with Xie Jinsong and the others. Fang Wenhuo and Zhu Ying not only took out their savings, but also agreed to this house has also been sold, and I am waiting to find a large villa for Xieting Zhou to live in. Now that someone is praising the villa, Gu Venman feels that he can live in it. His son has saved all mankind and has given everyone so many secrets of cultivation. Gu Venman knows these things, so he feels that this little enjoyment does not matter. Of course, if it wasn't to accompany their family, maybe it would be more comfortable for his son to turn into a dragon. Then we can move. Xieting Zhou nodded, and then Shi Haijun also breathed a sigh of relief, and then many domestically produced red flag cars were waiting below. The Xie family and Xieting Zhou were all sent to the villa manor prepared for Xieting Zhou. The name was Dragon Court. The villas here are really good, from the decoration to the scenery outside, they are all magnificent. Seeing that his parents and family were so happy, Xieting Zhou thought of something. He waved his hand and threw out the sacks all over the floor from the mustard space. These sacks were so heavy that Shi Haijun was puzzled. Lord Dragon God, what are these? No one dared to touch him and could only ask Xieting Zhou. These are the seeds of spiritual grasses in the world of immortality, as well as the seeds of spiritual plants. After planting, they need to be nourished by spiritual energy to grow successfully. I once gave you a book called The Secret of Spiritual Formation, which contains the formation of spiritual plants. Plant spiritual herbs and refine elixirs to overcome the pain of foundation building. It is impossible for ordinary people to build a foundation unless there is such a spiritual grass. Therefore, Xieting Zhou asked everyone to plant it now. If someone builds a foundation more than 10 years later, it can be used. Cultivation to immortality takes a long time and a long road, and it is impossible to achieve results in every minute. Everyone was extremely grateful and asked someone to quickly transport the seeds of these spiritual plants. Presumably the country would arrange for them to be planted immediately. Gu Venman was very interested in these, so he asked Xieting Zhou for a lot of strange spiritual plant seeds, which were planted outside their villa. Xieting Zhou specially arranged a spirit gathering array for the entire villa and manor for his own mother. In this case, the flowers and plants from the world of cultivation can also survive here. Time flies by 1 month, and all citizens in China have completed the spiritual root test. This is very fast. After all, every city has a spiritual pillar. Plus, you know that after taking this test, you can live longer through practice. As a normal person, man, Why don't you come and take a test? Therefore, with the joint efforts of the state and citizens, everyone completed the spiritual root test in 1 month. Sure enough, as Shenlong said, every descendant of the dragon has spiritual roots. On the contrary, many foreigners who took the domestic ID card test do not have them. After knowing this, netizens could only say sympathetic, then there's nothing we can do about it. Who allowed us to have a dragon in our house, but yours doesn't? If that doesn't work, can you sincerely pray and let your dragon come to save you? This is of course a joke, but it can't stop the enthusiasm of young people to practice cultivation. It can be said that since the dragon saved the world, the internet is full of rumors about cultivation. This time, the country did not even stop it, and even spread all kinds of strange sayings. On online novel websites, cultivation novels have become the peak of sales. However, the top ones are not the kind of novels that are disguised as cultivation and love, but real cultivation, novels that fight for life with heaven. Because if there is really an opportunity to practice cultivation in front of you, will you be busy with love? You just want to kill your favorite person with the first sword of cultivation. After all, you can't stay young forever and live forever when you fall in love with someone, but you can practice cultivation. On September 10, 2030, 1 month after the dragon god came to the world, the country fully released the cultivation app, and everyone can download it on their mobile phones. Many mobile phone programs are automatically updated, and this cultivation app appeared. Wang Weiwei is one of the thousands of ordinary people. After the first discovery of the existence of aliens and the thrilling night when the Earth was about to become extinct, the appearance of the dragon and the possibility of cultivation made this young man very excited. He was in a group of many novelists before, most of whom wrote about cultivation. They called each other Daiju in the group and believed that they would be powerful in the world of cultivation. Now the world's spiritual energy has revived, the real dragon has come, everyone has spiritual roots, and everyone is trying to cultivate. Now, the cultivation app released by the country has allowed Wang Weiwei, the most ordinary member, to start a new life of cultivation. Open this cultivation app, and then you need to log in with your ID card. After you log in, there will be your photo and your personal information, such as age, height, and spiritual roots. After that, this cultivation app will pop up an interface whether to download the elementary cultivation method rejuvenation technique. This information made Wang Weiwei's hand tremble, and then he immediately clicked to download. Rejuvenation technique was downloaded in seconds, and then he opened this legendary cultivation method. The first page explained the function of this method. Rejuvenation technique: collect the spiritual energy of heaven and earth for your own use, accumulate spiritual energy, strengthen your body, and eliminate all diseases. Although it is the most basic cultivation method, it is enough to shock everyone. And the country is very considerate. In this app, the secrets of rejuvenation technique not only have a text version, but also a video teaching version, which is specially designed for the elderly and children. At such a special moment, all citizens logged into the cultivation app with their mobile phones and started the first practice of rejuvenation technique. Probably cultivation is originally related to the descendants of the dragon, so everyone quickly felt the spiritual energy flowing in the air and then absorbed these spiritual energy into the body. Some people can succeed in a few minutes, while others need several hours or days. After successfully practicing the first rejuvenation technique, it is really strengthening the body and eliminating all diseases. Some people even have a lot of black things on their bodies. After taking a bath, they feel refreshed, as if their muscles and bones have been cleansed. While the Chinese were working hard, foreigners were still lining up, holding the number plates of love. Okay, don't you want to come to my house to test your spiritual roots? Then you have to give us what we need. For example, money, food, supplies, anyway, you have to give us something so that we can get our visa, right? After all, you treated us like this back then. All countries resigned themselves to exchanging what they could exchange for the opportunity to test their spiritual roots. After all, if they don't want to, what can you do? Can you defeat a dragon? So at this moment, China's diplomacy is particularly tough. Everyone understands that it is the moment when the Oriental dragon rises. From the moment the dragon descends, the rules of this world have been changed again. And some foreigners in China who have already taken domestic ID cards, those without spiritual roots can only sigh in despair, and those with spiritual roots are madly learning Chinese. Presumably in the future, Chinese will become a must-learn item for foreigners. Otherwise, if you don't learn Chinese, how can you practice Taoism? Are you stupid? On the National Cultivation app, after the people started to cultivate, a warning was issued, and the information about the charcoal burned by the spirit pillar was made public for the first time, telling the people that good deeds are rewarded with good, and evil deeds are punished with evil. If you embark on the road of cultivation, it is a cause and effect opportunity. If you have evil intentions, you will be punished by heaven. Which Chinese people don't know. When the spirit roots were tested before, thousands of people were burned in one day, so everyone said that we should cultivate well and be good people, and not do what the bad guys do. And Xietings, whose family members also began to practice the rejuvenation technique and officially embarked on the road of cultivation. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 87. When all the citizens of China embarked on the road of cultivation and began to practice the rejuvenation art, the first batch of foreigners finally had the opportunity to come to every city in our country. All countries must now take China as the leader. The status of this currency in the world has declined rapidly. After all, after truly entering the world of cultivation, the money order will inevitably collapse within 5 years. Therefore, a certain kind of special US dollar that had the highest value in the past is now worthless. Therefore, each country needs to use its own materials to exchange for the qualification to come to China. Every country has sent forward people. They may be the most powerful and wealthy people in other countries, or they may have other special identities, but in front of the soul detecting pillar, they are all equal human beings, or they have no soul at all. Root, otherwise it will be directly chopped into black coal by lightning. Everyone knew before coming here that this soul detecting pillar can kill people, but cultivation is all about fighting for one's life with the sky. Let's see if you dare. Of course, among so many foreigners from various countries, only less than 50% can possess spiritual roots. The key is that these people either have ancestors who helped China, or they have some influence on the country. Contribution, now many rich people have found a way out. They quickly want to do charity in China, so that when they still have a chance to test their spiritual roots, they will be considered favorable by the descendants of the dragon, and then they can obtain spiritual roots. The country looked at the enthusiastic expressions of these people. On the surface, they refused, but in fact they refused to come. Oh my God, you really care about our people. What? Do you want to donate hundreds of thousands of tons of food? Okay, our people will definitely work hard to thank you. And you actually want to donate your company's special medicine? Give us the patent directly? Oh my God, you don't know that we are all descendants of the dragon, and now we are all practicing people, exercising our muscles and bodies. Ordinary diseases can no longer harm us, okay. Anyway, the country of China has risen strongly because of the path of cultivation. Since you came to us to test your spiritual roots, you already have spiritual roots. Why don't you practice with some secrets of cultivation? The secrets of cultivation are at another price. After doing this, the country has really gained many benefits from various countries. After all, people are asking for help from you, so although everyone is cursing in their hearts, they always smile on their faces. Otherwise, by the time everyone has cultivated, you will still be slowly developing science, so what are you developing? Just let the aliens capture you and make you a slave? In the next 3 months, the domestic rental housing prices skyrocketed. After all, the country has introduced a new policy that does not allow foreigners to buy houses in the country, so the rental housing prices naturally skyrocketed, and then the prices of Chinese teachers became even more exciting. You have come to test your spiritual roots, you must understand the secrets of cultivation, right? So if you don't have level 8 Chinese, you still want to understand the secrets? Are you kidding me? Therefore, in the days that followed, Chinese became a must-learn item in every country. Even if there were still many human beings who had not had time to enter China, their countries had quickly arranged the study of Chinese subjects, and people all over the world with Chinese is arranged as a compulsory subject. As for other knowledge, put it aside for the time being. If you are still working on these useful and useless things, people next door are cultivating and flying into the sky. Anytime you don't work hard, you will be beaten and left behind. As a result, a divine dragon descends from the sky to protect you. This is God's gift of food. Countries are so envious, jealous, and hateful that they are going crazy. They can't help it. It is said that some people in the United States began to plead for angels and demons to come, thinking that since dragons descend in Eastern legends, they should also be able to see angels and demons, although the final result was no result. Fast forward 3 months, Xie Ting's family has a spirit gathering array, which is naturally full of spiritual energy. The Xie family members practice very quickly and are able to replenish themselves with a lot of spiritual energy every day, including people from the National Special Dragon Group Department and surrounding people. People have also taken advantage of the spirit gathering array, and their cultivation can be regarded as 1,000 miles faster than ordinary people. It is equivalent to eating steamed buns. An ordinary person can only eat 10 steamed buns if he practices hard for a day, but in Xie Ting's spirit gathering formation, he can eat 1,000 steamed buns a day, so practicing is not a problem. 3 months have passed, and everyone in the country has spiritual energy in their bodies. Although they go to work and eat as usual, cultivation is also a compulsory course for everyone. Moreover, everyone found that they needed to sleep and regain their consciousness before, but now they only need to meditate and practice. So that after a day of energy, many Chinese people practice directly at night until the next morning, just enough to go to work refreshed and not feel tired at all. Reiki nourishes everyone's body, making these people strong and healthy. Even the elderly and children have begun to undergo tremendous changes, and everyone is full of energy. It's just that everyone believes that the dragon is watching from the sky. On the contrary, after so many days, the public security in every place is extremely good, because the bad guys in the past were all killed by lightning, and now no one dares to do bad things in a short period of time, for fear of struck by lightning. At this time, the Xiaochen app is officially updated for the second time. Then after everyone opened the cultivation app, a new cultivation cheats unexpectedly popped up. This time, everyone opens different cheats. Different cheats are assigned according to their spiritual roots and suitable attributes, allowing everyone to learn by themselves. It still has video teaching functions and self-study functions, so you can choose as you like. The second cheat book can only be owned by those over 15 years old, because children often cannot control their emotions. If they have strong power, they will easily get into trouble. So soon it will be time for everyone to exchange their cultivation experiences in major parks. Some people breathe fire from their palms, some can control water, some build houses on the spot, and some even make plants grow quickly. Everyone's development path is different. Of course, young people also use these cultivation techniques in various ways. Station B and various short videos have also been updated more and more. Look, old guys. I am Huo Lingan, and now I have mastered the technique of controlling fire. In the past, my mother always said that I burned my pants by playing with fire, but now she doesn't care about me. Watch me perform a fire control for everyone on the spot. Cooking. I won't use natural gas in my house from now on, I will be the living natural gas in my house. This person said something funny, then controlled the flame in his hand and started cooking. Don't underestimate this ability to cook. This requires controlling the fire to a certain extent. You can't just do whatever you want. After having the ability to control fire for cooking, some water-spirited people appeared to make mineral water for free, and said that the water they made also contains spiritual energy. Today's special price, don't be 998, don't be 98. 98 yuan worth of spiritual water to take home. There are still many people buying it. Because after scientific research, this thing really has spiritual energy. If you drink this when you are not practicing, it can replenish spiritual energy in your body. Everyone seems to have found a new way to get rich. People in Tulungan began to try to build houses, and then put spiritual energy into the walls. They said that living here is a natural spiritual gathering array. Aren't you excited? Jin Lingan looked at his own lay at a loss. How come other people's skills are all about making money, but my family can't make money? So, Jin Lingan's brothers touched the power plant, and they started to generate electricity through lightning strikes. Not to mention, it looks like the same thing. In short, never underestimate human creativity and imagination. They quickly bring the benefits of cultivation to every corner of life, and then use these to make money or obtain more resources. In fact, they all achieve mutual success. Ha 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 ha. Tingzhou, look, this netizen is awesome. He insisted that the green plants he bred have spiritual energy, but he actually planted an ivy under a building. As a result, the ivy brought down the entire building. Penetrated, doesn't this mean that the bottom of the prison has been penetrated? Bai Xinyu was on vacation, and he also brought his family over to rub the spiritual energy, and he happened to play with his brothers. Although everyone has practiced cultivation now, this is a clear modern world of cultivation, and all kinds of fun jokes are endless. Then what's the usual punishment for this kind of thing? Xie Tingzhou also thought it was funny, but since no one was killed, it should be fine. They will be sent there to plant spiritual plants. Once they have planted enough, they can come out. Of course, the country still wants them to practice, but there is no delay in planting spiritual plants while practicing. It is said that it takes at least 50 years for a spiritual plant to grow to maturity, and people are eager to instill spiritual energy into it. When Bai Xinyu heard that there are still 500, thousands, and tens of thousands of years to come, he even said that he would turn into ashes by then. That's good. Xie Tingzhou nodded, knowing that those who can cultivate now are at least not bad-hearted. Time spiritual energy has its own laws. In order to save oneself, it is natural to choose more capable people to help one's body to survive. Get through it. And this, look at this, ha 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 ha, the people in Tulungan insisted on building houses and selling them for money. As a result, the houses they built had no oxygen space and no doors. They were immediately caught by the police and recovered, ha ha ha, laughing. He's dead. Why don't we all practice hard and just do fancy things all day long? Is it okay for anyone to do construction? Some members of Bai Xinyu's family also made money by relying on spiritual power, but Bai Xinyu has a golden spiritual root and can only crack thunder, and he can't care about delivering electricity to the power plant. In addition, the police are busy practicing now. There are also all kinds of strange things that happen after cultivation, which is really busy. He came here to see his friends, and he came here secretly asking for leave. It is indeed very imaginative. Xie Tingzhou nodded, thinking that young people are very powerful and full of imagination. And soon, Bai Xinyu became so angry that his face turned red with anger. Holy shit! Why is this humming country of thieves so shameless? Now they dare to advertise that our dragon is actually from their country? Why are you so awesome? I don't even know what my brother is. Is it time to become your family? When Xieting Zhou heard this, he also glanced at his phone and quickly understood that this was an old practice of some thieves' countries, which is to apply for World Heritage status from various other countries and then make it their own. Thinking of this, Xieting Zhou sneered. They shouldn't do anything to me. Bai Xinyu was also stunned for a moment. When he looked at his friend's cold and ruthless golden pupils, he realized more clearly that his friend was not an ordinary human being, but a real god, a dragon that protected the whole world. But seeing his friend so angry, Bai Xinyu was still shocked. Ting Zhou, what are you going to do? Xieting Zhou put down his cell phone, his face as white as jade, cold and ruthless. Tell them, I am the Dragon Clan of the East. How dare I come to attack even though I am so young? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 88. Seeing that something was wrong with Xieting Zhou's situation, Bai Xinyu immediately became nervous, looked at his brother, and then madly regretted that he should not have shown this kind of news to Xieting Zhou. After all, they had also been madly cursing some people from the country of little days and the country of thieves. But now that they are a huge country, if they continue to care about this with others, they seem to have lost their status. I said, brother, don't be angry, and don't take action. I'm not saying that you don't have the strength, but isn't it because every country wants to lick us now? If we don't take action in this thief country, there will be let's do it. After all, we are the only ones who can do it here, it's an exclusive patent. What Bai Xinyu said is right. The soul detecting pillars lowered by Xieting Zhou can only be found in China. If some people abroad want to cultivate the truth, then you have to come and find them. So now that other places are kneeling in China, it's true, everyone tried their best to come to the country. If I don't go there, they won't be worth it. Xieting Zhou spoke, but these words made Bai Xinyu feel even more flustered. Just like Bai Xinyu got angry and cursed after seeing such so-called shameless news, netizens on the internet had already started scolding him. After all, this country of thieves is every day I stared at China and stole things, but now I have stolen them from the giant dragon. How can I not make people angry? Therefore, the curses one by one are unpleasant, not only on the internal network, but also on the external network. But wherever the people of the country can see them, they are all the most civilized words. And just when everyone thought Lord Shenlong didn't know about these things, dark clouds suddenly gathered over a certain country, which shocked all the people in the country, but they thought it was just an ordinary cloud. But then, people all over the world have witnessed the wrath from the gods. The dark clouds in the sky brought down a golden thunder calamity. This golden thunder calamity directly hit those greedy people, burning them into black charcoal. Just like Xieting Zhou's own feelings, when you become a dragon, it is difficult to empathize with the so-called weak humans. This is due to the inherent racial genes. Therefore, when the thunder tribulation came from Tiaoyuguo, everyone was frightened. Knowing that the things they had done were seen by Lord Shenlong, they immediately knelt down. Tiaoyuguo immediately said that Lord Shenlong was not from our country and that he was not from our country. It has nothing to do with us. That means please, Lord Shenlong, please let us go. Shi Haijun, Pan Diyu and others also saw the news. After all, this can be regarded as international news. Although the entire thief country is small, it is all shrouded in clouds, and even artificial satellites cannot see clearly. This is from the gods. Anger, who dares to stop it? But even so, Shi Haijun and the others hurriedly delivered a lot of delicious food to Xieting Zhou. After Bai Xinyu came out from eating, drinking, and having fun, he quickly called people over. How is Lord Shenlong feeling? You know, in another country, people have already been struck with lightning. It's very good. I was very happy when I ate just now. Bai Xinyu was really stupid, thinking that Xieting Zhou was right in front of him, so he would definitely not cause trouble. He never expected that Xie could cause trouble even though he was here. Shi Haijun looked at his silly look and didn't know what to say about this big-hearted person. It's really cool to be friends with Shenlong, but how did you become a detective in the police force with your IQ and EQ? The captains. In the end, Bai Xinyu found out that Xie Tingzhou had taken action after returning home, and was speechless. Tingzhou, you haven't changed in all these years. You say one thing with your mouth, but do another with your body. That's right, Bai Xinyu and Xie Tingzhou grew up together when they were young, and they discovered that Xie Tingzhou had such a habit. He said he wouldn't do it, but in fact he was very honest with his body. Other countries are simply trembling when they see the stealing country like this, and they dare not say that Shenlong is gone now. After all, Shenlong is not only here now, but also seems to be staring at you all the time. Therefore, all human beings understand that the majesty of the divine dragon cannot be violated, and all countries immediately stopped making any small moves, for fear of following in the footsteps of stealing the country. The key is that you want to steal the country and unite with other countries to crusade, but no one will treat you as a friend. And I thought that after the wrath of thunder and lightning passed, the dark clouds still did not disperse, and there was a thunder and lightning trend. One day within 24 hours, extreme weather such as wind, rain, lightning, rain, snow, and ice cannons also took turns, making people truly feel like they were living in dire straits 24 hours a day. This is a punishment from the gods, carried out by nature. Weak humans have no power to fight back under such natural power. When domestic netizens saw the news, they immediately danced for joy, and then expressed on their own domestic websites that it was deserved. Who makes you so bold that everyone wants to steal it? Don't you want to see what Master Shenlong thinks? Therefore, it is simply impossible for human beings to use their set of conspiracies and tricks on extraordinarily powerful beings. A truly strong person is often able to escape all conspiracies. Soon the surrounding countries began to stabilize, and the world of cultivation was advancing by leaps and bounds. Everyone had various ideas. Xie Tingzhou had never left the villa. He was accompanied by his family and friends, as well as his 2 growing sons. Time flies and 10 years have passed. For many people on Earth, these 10 years are very complex and advanced, but for Xie Tingzhou, it is actually just a fleeting decade. Dad, the school has water control today. Brother is going on a mission to the secret realm this time. I heard there are many good things in it. When can I go to the secret realm? The person sitting here acting coquettishly with Xie Tingzhou is Fang Jun. Fang Jun is already 15 years old this year. He just went to school and started learning magic. He has been practicing the rejuvenation technique before. Xie Zihang, who is already 20 years old, went to the secret realm with the school and teachers this time. In the secret realm, you can find the herbs and some special instruments you need. Speaking of which, this kind of secret realm was created by Xie Tingzhou 5 years ago. Human beings in this world have made great progress. In addition, the spiritual energy has just recovered, and there is a lot of spiritual energy in the air. Therefore, in 5 years, there are many people built the foundation, and Xie Tingzhou started exploring the secret realm. The things in this secret realm were naturally put in by Xie Tingzhou. He had a mustard space as big as a world, and he made many friends back then. He had all kinds of things accumulated in 10,000 years, and Xie Tingzhou created after the secret realm, nourished by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Some spiritual plants born from the spiritual energy can naturally grow inside. Just like before there was a secret realm, spiritual plants had already appeared in many extreme areas. For example, the iceberg snow lotus in the Himalayas, the pearl in the deep seabed, and the flame flower born in the flame magma. These are all spiritual plants born from the spiritual energy contained in the earth. You can go when you are 20, don't be in a hurry. Xieting Zhou has a good relationship with the Xie family in the past 10 years, and also has a good relationship with Bai Xinyu's family. When everyone is busy practicing, he will also help take care of the children. As a dragon, he is practicing every breath, and he doesn't use it at all. Focus on practicing, and now everyone has Lord Shenlong enshrined in their homes. The power of these beliefs alone is enough to give Xieting Zhou a steady stream of spiritual energy. Hey, my parents have also been loaned out to do tasks, not to mention my grandparents. They have been busy all day long since building the foundation. Dad, aren't you worried about them? Don't you miss them? Fang Jun, who has followed Xieting Zhou for the past 10 years, is not afraid of Xieting Zhou at all. Now he even asks Xieting Zhou if he was worried about his family. The path of cultivation is to go against the will of nature. The dangers you need to encounter are not something I can help bear. The greater the danger, the greater the opportunity. I cannot protect you forever. Xieting Zhou replied, thinking of the fact that his parents, Fang Wen, Huo Zuying, and others had worked hard to cultivate and often went to secret places to explore in the past 10 years. This was Xieting Zhou's support. A truly strong person must have suffered a battle before he can become strong. It does not mean that you can practice hard and then become stronger. There are not only spiritual plants in the secret realm, but also some spiritual beasts, so naturally you have to fight hard to get what you want. Not only in the secret realm, but also in reality. After the spiritual energy is revived, many animals and plants become spirits. Some of them will do bad things and will naturally be punished. Some of them will do good things and will not be completely exterminated. This is the balance of living things. Human beings once kept all animals in captivity, and then made zoos for humans to watch and gain money. However, after the spiritual energy was revived, every zoo became a gathering place for wild beasts, and later a place of testing. Every foundation building everyone needs to kill some bad beast. Oh, that's right. That's what my grandparents and parents told me. I just think it took too long for them to be gone, so I miss them a little. Fang Jun was a little depressed. After all, he was still a 15-year-old child. In fact, after the world turned upside down, the things that now have purchasing power in society have become spiritual stones. Students also learn how to absorb spiritual energy in school, as well as some basics. Education, including various spiritual plants and beasts in the secret realm, and of course, the most important thing is dragon science. The country has specially produced a history book recording Shenlong. It explains the story of the invasion of aliens 10 years ago and the birth of Lord Shenlong. But now it sounds like many children don't know whether it is true or not. They think it is simply it's so illusory. They have all cultivated themselves. How can there be aliens in this world? Even though the fertility rate has been very low in recent years, everyone's life is still prosperous. Cultivation does not mean immortality, but the way of death is different. You may die of illness or old age in front of you, or you may die in a secret realm now. Died in the thunder tribulation, but all those who built the foundation had to go through 3 thunder tribulations, and they would die if they couldn't bear it. Xieting Zhou, on the other hand, watched all of this happen and would not stop it. Heaven was ruthless, and cultivation was to go against the will of heaven. He had to fight for his life with the heavens. Even if he died in a thunderstorm, that would be a worthy death. At the same time, he felt that he would absorb the aura of the earth when he was awake, which would not be of any benefit to these cultivators. So when Xie Zihang was 25 years old and Fang Jun was 20, Xieting Zhou and his parents and Zuying and the others said hello and fell into deep sleep for the first time after returning to Earth. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 89. There is no time in cultivation. After the lifespan of human beings is extended, everything will become long and long. 500 years have passed in a flash. In these 500 years, human beings have completely changed. At this time, there are dragon boats everywhere on the earth. This so-called dragon boat is an upgraded version of the bus, which can fly in the sky. Of course, there is also the fastest teleportation array. Generally speaking, the teleportation array consumes more spirit stones. If there is no urgent matter, people will choose to travel by dragon boat. In Luoyang No. 1 Cultivation Academy, students are taking a history class. This is May 6th of the 563rd year of their dragon calendar, which is 500 years after the birth of the dragon. The record of the birth of the dragon now only exists in history books. Many people have even begun to doubt whether the real dragon exists. In the classroom, the teacher is telling the history of that year. 563 years ago, we humans were the weakest existence, and technological development had not reached its peak. At that time, aliens attacked, and it was the dragon that came to the world to save us, so we have today's world of cultivation, and you can live like this with a lifespan of more than 300 years. You know, humans in the past not only always got sick, but also died before they were 100 years old. The teacher was talking about ancient humans, which was a long, long time ago. The children born now are born with spiritual energy, and they don't get sick at all, let alone any deformities. It can be said that all diseases are far away from humans. Some only have problems when practicing, either being struck by lightning, or getting a stitch in the side, or being injured or dying when going to the secret realm. The maximum lifespan of humans has exceeded nearly 600 years, but there are very few people who live like this. After all, if you need to live, you need to improve your realm. Cultivation is divided into many levels, from the simplest chi refining stage to the later golden core stage and yuanying stage. Each thunder tribulation will be more terrifying. There are generally no thunder tribulations in the chi refining stage, and after reaching it, lifespan cannot be increased, unless the first foundation building is passed. Foundation building requires 3 thunder tribulations, and after enduring them, lifespan will be increased by 100 years. After that, the most powerful cultivators in the world are only in the spiritualization stage, and the spiritualization stage requires dozens of thunder tribulations. Now the children in the school are all around 15 years old. After 15 years old, they should go to the secret realm for training, so before the age of 15, in addition to practicing the rejuvenation technique, they should learn the most basic knowledge. The students below did not listen carefully. After all, they had read these things many times in books. After practicing, people's IQ has greatly improved, and most books can be recited after just reading them once. Therefore, the students remember the things about the dragons and ancient humans clearly, and the teacher does not need to explain them. The teacher did not care. After the lecture, accompanied by the ding-ling-ling bell, the get out of class was announced. Get out of class is over. All of them were 15-year-old children, so they immediately stood up from their seats excitedly. Everyone was wearing a white embroidered robe. This kind of thing was popular more than 400 years ago. At that time, the first great cultivator reached the level of flying with a sword. In addition, the Chinese people had a deep dream of cultivating the truth, so they cultivated a special kind of spiritual silkworm from the secret realm. The spiritual silkworm spitted silk, and then the spiritual silk was used to make this white robe. The sleeves of the clothes fluttered, and each one was full of fairy spirit. These new cultivators grew long hair and tied their hair on the top of their heads with magic tools. Each of them looked like a Taoist fairy child, very similar to the cultivators in the dreams of ancient humans. Moreover, the clothes made of this kind of spiritual silkworm and spiritual silk are dust-free, warm in winter and cool in summer. Although expensive, they are basic clothes that every family will buy. After the get out of class was over, a boy in a white brocade robe hugged the boy in a golden robe next to him. Will we take the dragon boat back later? The person who spoke was none other than the child left by the Xie family of this generation. In fact, Fang Jingyu, the descendant of Fang Wenhuo, and the young man whose shoulders he was holding was Xie Jinglin. The two of them were the only two children of this generation of the Xie family. Fang Jingyu's father was Fang Zijun, and Xie Jinglin's father was Xie Zihang. Now these two are already famous great powers in the world, not to mention that the ancestors of the Xie family are still alive, so now the Xie family is already a large family, and even many people are chasing after them. Well, I heard that the ancestors are back today, and I don't know how many days they will stay this time. Xie Jinglin and Fang Jingyu are the pride of this generation. Although they are only 15 years old, their parents are powerful. In this era, they have long been late in marriage and late in childbirth. They have lived for 500 years to have these two children, so they naturally love them very much. The ancestors they are talking about are Xie Jinsong and Gu Venman. They should obviously be called grandma and grandpa, but everyone calls Xie Jinsong and Gu Venman that way, so the children in the family also call them that way. Isn't that great? Fang Jingyu's eyes lit up. The two of them walked out of the school quickly and boarded the dragon boat at the school gate. After the dragon boat took off, they could see the beautiful scenery outside the window. Today, the sky has become a field that humans can easily conquer. As the dragon boat was flying, two people in black robes flew past the window with swords, which made Fang Jingyu open his eyes wide immediately. Jinglin, when do you think we can have flying swords? I also want to fly with swords like my parents. Now, only those who are at or above the foundation building stage can fly with a sword, but the foundation building stage alone can eliminate 50% of the people in the world. Otherwise, if everyone keeps living, the earth will not be able to bear it, right? So some people are destined to not be able to withstand the thunder tribulation. It is said that among the people who first started practicing Taoism in the generation of the Xie family's ancestors, there are only about 1,000 people left now, and the others either died of old age or died because they could not survive the thunder tribulation. It is said that the spiritual energy of the cultivators who died in the thunder tribulation will return to the world. Wait until we build the foundation. Xie Jinglin is very steady. He doesn't dislike his chattering brother Fang Jingyu. The two are now in the qi refining stage, so after they can formally learn magic, they will probably be able to break through the foundation building stage soon. While the two were talking, the dragon boat had already arrived at the Xie family. There was a teleportation array similar to a high platform at the door of the Xie family. The two got off the dragon boat and walked into the teleportation array. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the door of their villa. For so many years, the Xie family has been living in the villa in Luoyang. Even if many powerful people are entrenched in Shangjing City, Luoyang is still a place that many people miss. When the two entered the living room, they saw the old ancestor who had not been seen for a long time. Grandma! Grandma! The two came up to call people. Gu Venman was also happy to see her great-grandson. After all, since the grandsons grew up after practicing Taoism, the two grandsons got married and did not look for a partner. They were devoted to practicing Taoism, which surprised Gu Venman. Later, after 500 years, they found a partner and gave birth to these two children. Gu Venman was really shocked. However, children and grandchildren have their own blessings, and Gu Venman is not worried about this. Seeing the two children, Gu Venman smiled. You two have grown up a bit, and Grandma has brought you some good things. Give the magic weapons and spiritual plants obtained from the secret realm to the two children. Gu Venman was right. When they met last time, the two children were less than 10 years old, and now they have become tall boys. Where is Grandpa? Didn't Grandpa come back? Fang Jingyu asked his grandma, knowing that there are actually very few people who can practice like grandma, and most people find it difficult to break through the Jindan stage. 300 years is the end of their fate. Your grandpa and your uncle Bai are on patrol. You know, it's not peaceful recently. Jinglan Jingyu, after the school courses are over during this period, you will stay in the villa and don't go out, understand? Gu Venman always knows more than the children, so after finding something wrong, the first thing he does is to protect the children. Yes, I know, Grandma. The two nodded hurriedly, and they were all obedient children in front of the ancestor. Gu Venman chatted with the two children for a long time before letting them play with the magic tools he gave them. Those magic tools can protect the two children. Not long after, Xie Jinsong and Bai Xinyu came back, as well as Fang Wenhuo and Zhu Ying. Now the Bai family also lives here at the Xie family. The Xie family's spirit gathering array has always been there, so Bai Xinyu can become a legendary great man like the people of the Xie family, and has lived for 600 years without dying. Bai Xinyu's parents did not survive the Thunder Tribulation and were finally annihilated in the world, but this is fate, and Bai Xinyu will not blame others. Fortunately, his wife and son are fine. After seeing the situation of their parents, they practiced crazily, and with the things left by Xie Tingzhou before he fell asleep, they successfully survived several Thunder Tribulations and live to this day. Now they are the protectors of the earth. The Black Star is moving again. General Shi told me that they have detected material flow from the Black Star. They are likely to attack the earth again. Bai Xinyu looked serious. The world-destroying disaster that he experienced 600 years ago seemed to be right in front of him. He still remembered the situation of being surrounded by the mechanical star. Now, it has only been a few hundred years, and the other party is about to make a comeback, so everyone is very vigilant. Recently, various powerful people around the world have been guarding the sky above the earth to prevent alien attacks at any time. Their most powerful people are already in the fusion stage, that is, they can destroy half of the earth with a wave of their hands, but everyone chooses to protect their homes. Facing the possible enemies, people are nervous and excited, but in order to protect the remaining humans and their descendants, they must stand in the front. This time, Xie Jinsong and others also participated in the patrol and understood the horror of the matter more. If the Black Star attacks again, can humans survive this? No matter what, protecting everyone is our mission. Even if they come back again, we must fight them. Gu Venman had a cold face. At this time, she was considered to be the truly invincible existence of the Xie family. Since Xie Tingzhou fell asleep, she has been practicing madly, and has been invincible all over the world, and has been rampant in various secret realms. Therefore, this time, Gu Venman is not afraid of the upcoming enemies. Her fighting blood is boiling. Zhu Ying has also become a decisive existence. Although she still has a young face, she is actually a 600-year-old old man inside, so she can't help but think of someone. Mom, do you think Tingzhou will wake up? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 90. Zhu Ying's words made everyone present couldn't help but look at Gu Venman. In fact, if it were true, the person who had the most affection for Xie Tingzhou was Gu Venman. When Xie Tingzhou said he wanted to sleep forever, Gu Venman on the surface, man expressed understanding, but after Tingzhou fell asleep, he cried for several days, and then he practiced without sleep, almost like crazy. She is either practicing or on her way to the secret realm every year, and she is even more crazy about killing in the secret realm. It can be said that she has changed from the person who didn't even dare to kill chickens to the real powerful person who has lived for 600 years. After the Thunder Tribulation of the integration period, very few people know about this matter now. In fact, many people died on the road of cultivation. Almost every day, people died, or experienced thunder tribulations, or other things. Nowadays, There are only a handful of people who practiced cultivation together at the beginning. The lifespan of 600 years is not anyone can achieve it. Except for the Xie family who led a group of people to extend their lives with the spirit gathering formation, most cultivators will only have a final lifespan of 300 years even if they work hard to build the foundation. Therefore, the earth is still rotating, and people continue to thrive. Today, those who can live to be 600 years old are the top powers on the earth, all of whom are Chinese, and are now working hard to protect the earth. Xie Jinsong was not so crazy in cultivation before, but when he saw his wife working so hard, he naturally worked harder because he knew in his heart that the reason why his wife worked so hard was to see his son again in his lifetime. After all, dragons are different from people. People sleep for a few hours or several days, but for dragons, they may have a dream for 100 years or 1,000 years after sleeping. It is simply not something that humans can imagine. The length obtained. After all, dragons have a long lifespan, which is completely different from humans. Xie Jinsong knew how hard his wife was working hard to see her son again, practicing hard, just to see her son one last time before death and hug each other again. This is probably the mother. The obsession in her heart is difficult for ordinary people to explain. At this moment, Gu Venman was stunned when she heard Zhu Ying's words. She had forced herself not to think about her son for a long time. Now that she heard his name again, she could only smile bitterly. We relied on Ting Zhou to defeat Black Star more than 500 years ago, so now, do we still need to rely on Ting Zhou? If he sleeps like this once for 1,000 years, then can't we humans protect ourselves? Must we rely on it? Gu Venman admitted that in the first 100 years, she missed her son very much and thought that he should wake up. In the second 100 years, Gu Venman thought that the dragon clan really slept for a long time, and his son must have slept well. In the third 100 years, Gu Venman just wanted to live hard. After experiencing dozens of thunder tribulations, he felt that he almost died. In the 400th year, Gu Venman thought that even if his son didn't wake up, he must still be protecting him. By the 5th 100 years, all of Gu Venman's friends had passed away, and her companions on the cultivation adventure could not survive the thunder tribulation and died, but she thought that she must live and see her son again alive. But now, the son did not wait, but waited for Black Star to make a move. Although Black Star was beaten by his son more than 500 years ago, he was not extinct after all. Now, hundreds of years later, it seems normal for the other party to make a comeback. So Gu Venman knows that it is time for all mankind to protect themselves. Just like what his son said at the beginning, the earth needs them to protect themselves and develop their own skills. Only then can they protect the earth with their own abilities, not always rely on others. Moreover, Gu Venman always has a feeling that his son will leave sooner or later, leaving the earth and going to an unknown place. So if there is no dragon on the earth, will people just sit and wait for death? Everyone was silent. In fact, many people above had the same idea recently. They all wanted to know if Black Star made a comeback, whether the sleeping dragon would wake up and save the world like it did back then. It's a pity that now it seems that the dragon has no sign of waking up. Mom, you're right. We can't rely on Ting Zhou forever. After so many years of practice, if there is an enemy, I will take the lead. Zhu Ying also asked. In fact, she had not always thought about letting others save her. Now that she heard what her mother meant, she also understood that her mother did not want to rely on Xie Tingzhou. In the end, the matter ended like this. Later, when everyone patrolled again, they met Shi Haijun and others. These people who were once in the country's special dragon group department have become today's great masters of cultivation, and all of them are still alive. Black Star seems to have really made a big move. We captured their detector, and they seem to have forgotten about Shen Long. As someone who had experienced that incident, Shi Haijun was extremely sarcastic when talking about the Black Star at this time. Thinking of the situation of the black star captured by his own satellite, the dragon flame left by the Shenlong was still burning on the black star, but the other party had already they have almost forgotten how powerful Shenlong is, and now they are ready to attack the Earth again. Then we'll fight when it comes. This time, we won't be afraid. Gu Venman said coldly that she is no longer afraid of so-called aliens. They say that as people grow older, they become more afraid of death, but Gu Venman is a person who has been through life and death and has long been unafraid. That's all. 2 months have passed in a flash, and the Earth has entered a state of preparation for war. First of all, it is technology. Although cultivation has developed in recent years, technology is still moving forward. Humans have also developed various high-tech technologies related to cultivation. The electric current and various flames of cultivation are stored in high-tech weapons, which can also be used for defense and use. All ordinary humans on Earth who are below the foundation building stage are arranged in bunkers built by humans, at least there will be fire left at the end. August 9, 563 of the Dragon calendar, seems to be a day of fate that overlaps with that year. The people of Black Star, that is, the mechanical star, once again sent out black space battleships, which appeared outside the Earth's atmosphere on such a day. This time, the people on Earth have been prepared. When these black battleships come into contact with the atmosphere, there will be flashes of lightning and fire will block these black space battleships outside. Layers of explosions resounded in the sky above the Earth. At this time, above the Earth, tens of millions of people were flying in the sky with swords, looking up at the battle in the sky with serious expressions. Everyone held their own weapons and planned to resist after the aliens broke through. In the safe house below, all the humans who were not allowed to participate in the war were also watching this war. They saw the dense and unclear monks in the sky and all kinds of fires exploding outside the Earth. When the black warship broke through the formation they had laid long ago and entered the atmosphere, it was accompanied by an attack with fire. All the monks circulated their spiritual energy and formed a huge blue light circle. The next moment they rushed out, and the blue light circle blocked all the descending fire, and finally bloomed with blue starlight and dissipated in the sky. In such a night, humans once again faced the moment of life and death. This time there was no dragon to save them, but humans saved themselves. The blue light in the sky was extremely dreamy, but it was the cruelest color in the world. When the warships broke through the outermost formation, all the monks who had been arranged long ago used their weapons to build a formation with themselves. Everyone stayed at that fixed position with their swords. At this moment, they were chanting something, but they were burning their spiritual energy to deal with this crisis of life and death for the Earth. The monks with gold spiritual roots joined together to arrange a blue-purple formation. Along with the mantras of everyone, huge thunder appeared from everyone. They flew straight towards the warships in the sky, and then there were layers of explosions. Various monks were working hard, and Gu Venman was among them. As a person with water spiritual roots, Gu Venman used water as ice, which was like 1,000 arrows fired at the same time. There were continuous explosions in the sky, and some monks fell from the sky. The final outcome did not need to be considered, but in the case of protecting the Earth in this way, casualties seemed inevitable. All the people in the safe house who saw all this tragic situation couldn't help but shed tears. They finally understood how terrifying the alien invasion recorded in history books was. Even the powerful who had lived for hundreds of years might die in this war. The sound of various explosions finally seemed to wake up the sleeping dragon in the sky. The dragon that was still hovering on the Earth woke up. When Xieting Zhou opened his eyes, he saw a familiar scene. Thousands of black warships surrounded it again. This time, the people of the mechanical star did not dare to underestimate the Earth. They sent out millions of warships to try to take down the Earth. All the monks were fighting hard, even if they paid the power of their lives. The golden dragon opened its eyes. At this moment, People all over the world once again heard the long and time-precipitated dragon roar from the ancient dragon. The dragon is really there. The dragon has awakened again. When the monks in the sky heard this sound, they moved faster, as if they were sure of victory. The humans in the safe house also knelt down, once again kneeling down to worship the dragon as they had done in the past few years. Xietings, whose invisibility disappeared, and a huge golden dragon completely wrapped around the earth, as if it had been disturbed. Xieting Zhou just woke up for a moment, and with the roar of the dragon again, the people of the mechanical star actually wanted to retreat quickly. Unfortunately, nothing is faster than the speed of a dragon. The golden dragon raised its head directly, and the blue-purple dragon flame rushed towards the black warships, burning all the warships into powder and dissipating in the universe. At the same time, everyone heard the dragon's order. "Human monks, are you willing to follow me to the unknown land?"